Now, 2017 Geek Year in Review. I'm Max Prime. We're back again. We're going to discuss everything that's happened in 2017 geek related movies, comic books, TV shows, anything that's geek. And I'm joined by my two special guests on this live broadcast. Introduce yourselves, please, my experts.
My name is Kim, and I have a YouTube channel called Geekarella. So very excited to be here talking about geeky stuff, because that's what I do on my channel. So here we go.
Yeah, hi guys, my name is Esti, aka Geekers Online, and same. It was an exciting year, a long one actually. We've just realized that it was a long one.
Geek Girl Online, Geek Gorilla 12, and Max Prime. We're going to get right into it. So 2017 was the year of superhero movies. The good, the bad, the great. Exactly. What were some of our favorites this year in 2017? Marvel, DC, Fox. I'm going to go with Logan.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned it, and Logan for me as well.
Logan,
Spider-Man was a pleasant surprise.
Logan was good because it was like, it didn't feel like a superhero film. It was just like a gritty, dark thriller action movie. So I think that's why it did so well, because it just didn't fit that superhero norm. So it kind of broke out from the mold a little bit. So yeah, probably Logan is definitely one of my top 5 favorite films of the year, for sure.
If you think about it, like I think that's the first that actually did justice to Wolverine. Like, he had 2 solo movies and then the trilogy and then the new movies. None of those were really that good. If you think about his character, and then this one, it wasn't even an origin movie, and it felt like an origin movie. It was like explained, and yeah, it was really cool. I really like the whole but in this one, he's kind of and with many flows and with a kid suddenly. So yeah, I really loved Logan. It was really cool. I'm so happy that they.
We had Wonder Woman, we had Spider-Man: Homecoming, we had Thor, we've had Justice League, Guardians of the Galaxy. Good movies, bad. Well, I would say that I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was okay. Thor, I kind of liked. Spider-Man: Homecoming, yeah, I kind of like that also. Justice League was, again, great movie for me. Again, Logan, and then Wonder Woman also. Same kind of for you also.
I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, and I think I was trying to figure out like why I liked it so much compared to like other people from other different countries. A lot of people said that they didn't really get the jokes, they didn't like the jokes. It just has to it this level of like Australian, New Zealand humor that just feels so familiar. And I just felt like the whole film, you were like watching your friends kind of just hang out, but obviously on a big budget. So that's the kind of vibe I got from Thor Ragnarok. And I feel like I enjoyed it more because of that. It just felt so familiar. But I mean, some of the jokes were a little bit cringy, but I mean, it's Marvel, so it has to happen. Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't really like the second one. I felt like it crossed in some very weird territory, and I wasn't really like keen on that whole, God complex thing that they had going on. I thought that was a little weird, but I guess it's kind of hard for them because they had such a strong first film. What were they going to do for the second film? And Spider-Man: Homecoming, it didn't disappoint me, that's for sure. I wouldn't say it really was like so amazing that it was definitely the best Spider-Man reboot of all time. I'm still feel really strongly about the first 2 Sam Raimi films, but I think they did go in the right direction for this, because they need a younger superhero to take over in the Marvel universe, and I feel like that's what they're preparing him to do. And Justice League was amazing. I love Justice League. Definitely one of my top favorites of the year, for sure.
I absolutely adore Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man. I think he was really, really good cast. Or like casting. So that is that. And I obviously liked Justice League and loved Wonder Woman. Actually, I do love Guardians of the Galaxy for some reason. I remember going with my sister, and then there was the Mary Poppins joke, and that was just Mary Poppins. I'm sorry. So yeah. In Thor Ragnarok, I don't know. It was funny, but I can't really tell anything else. It was funny, and I'm a huge fan of Kate Blanchett, so there is that. I obviously won't say bad things about that because she was amazing, but yeah, nothing new on that front. So I actually don't like the first Thor movie. The more I see it, the more I don't like it. It's just dumb, and then sometimes for me it's hard to see all these characters I know the actual story of being all mixed up. Like Hela is actually Loki's daughter in the original story, and in this one they are like, yeah. But it was fun. It was fun. Favorite was I don't even know if I had a least favorite. They were all kind of cool.
Now, as far as movies go, were there any other, let's say in the genre, not comic book movies, let's think of any geek movies that came out also? I know, did we get the Alien Covenant movie? I know that happened.
Yes, that happened for sure.
We don't mean to chuckle on.
Definitely happened. Okay, I guess since I opened that up, I have been big fan, like an Alien and Predator fan for like the longest time. My dad is a big sci-fi fan, so I grew up on those films, watching all the Alien films, all the Predator films. Absolutely love them. So and this is an unpopular opinion, but I actually quite enjoyed Prometheus. Like, I thought it was pretty good. So, I mean, obviously it doesn't compare to the original Alien films, but I thought they did a really good job making that film. So I thought, well, you know, the next one will be fine. And then I watched it, and I was just like, the whole time I was like, what are they doing? Like, everyone is so stupid and dumb in the film, and I just don't understand, you know. And in the end, I just gave up, and I was like, it's fine. All the characters can die because they're all just so completely stupid and dumb. I just can't even understand, like, on what level, like, these people were just, oh my God. Like you thought the first Alien film, when the guy goes over to the egg and looks in there, like, it's a curiosity thing. Like, obviously you're not going to do it, but like, I can understand it. It's like running around with like no brains in their head. Like, they know why they're there. They know there's like weird stuff around. What the hell is wrong with them? It's just, it was very unbelievable. And I can't remember the actor's name, like the main guy in the film who's like Dr. Manhattan. I can't remember the actor's name, but he was just so dumb on so many levels. The minute he went into the lair with all the different eggs, and David just like led him in there, I'm like, yeah, that guy's gone. Like, what? Why are you going in there? What the hell is wrong with you? And like, he's just seeing David talking to like freaking aliens, and he's thinking that's fine. Like, hello, there's something wrong there. Like, I could just, oh my God. The best thing about the film was definitely David.
He
was amazing. He was just so funny. And I think that the scene with the little flutes, I was just like pissing myself in the cinema. It was just hilarious. But so it was enjoyable in terms of like, if you went in accepting your fate. That's what I feel.
That was very, very awesome review of Alien Covenant. I was getting the criticism online because, again, it was aliens. Did aliens really need an origin? And yeah, there was a lot of stupid moments. And I thought Prometheus was really good also. And then This one, yeah, not so much. And this, the news a couple days ago was that,
So
you know,
much.
Fox was gonna cancel Alien Covenant now, or the sequel to Alien Covenant. They're gonna cancel it, I guess. So that's that. Any other sci-fi movies that came out this year that were really, let's see. I know again there was that Valerian movie that I tried to watch and it was very bad.
I didn't go near that
Guys,
film.
if you're watching this, don't watch Valerian. It was really bad. Actually, have you guys seen The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis
Yeah,
from the 90s, I think? Well, actor, and it was a copy, just
Really?
much worse. Yeah, it's the same director, and he just, all in all, stopped writing scripts because no. But yeah, don't watch Valerian. It was bad. But watch Atomic Blonde, which is also a comic book movie, and that was really, really good with James McAvoy and Charlize Theron. It's a spy Cold War kind of thing in Germany and the US. It's complicated, but it was really cool.
Let's see what else came out this year in the movies. We also had a horror movie. One of the classic movies from Stephen King, which I've seen the original movie back in the 80s, which predates myself as I was a kid watching this movie. And I thought that was creepy as a kid back when I watched the movie on television on ABC. And now that they redid the movie, what were our thoughts on it? It was
great.
Wow.
So good. I really loved it. I thought they did something, well, not overly different, but they kind of made it their own. They didn't try to focus too much on making it like the original. They kind of brought up their own little things. And then they took the creepy vibe to the next level. Like, seriously, Pennywise in that movie is just like, yeah, he's supposed to be like a little bit of a troll sometimes as well. So you could kind of see that element playing within. I think Bill Skarsgård did such a good job as him. He was just like the epitome of creepiness. And yeah, all the young actors were fantastic. Like, I don't know where they find these kids. They're so talented, but absolutely loved the film. It was great.
I actually haven't seen it.
Oh,
Haven't seen it.
I'm not. No, I haven't seen it. Yeah, no, I'm not really big on Stephen King. I like Shining. Is that the English title?
Yes.
Of the Shining. Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure if I've seen the movie, but I've read the book. And no, I'm not big on horror. So.
Oh, okay.
We went to else, and they played the It trailer movie, and I actually screamed. So I know that this is not happening in a cinema. Like no way. Like when he's going down, no.
Yeah, it got
it
quite
looked
like
good.
at the beginning. It got quite like graphic, and I was like, oh, I'm excited. But when I went to see this film, I went to I'm a big horror fan. I went to an interactive viewing of it with one of my friends, and
oh my god.
what they did in the cinema is outside they created like this big like giant box section that you could walk through, like if you're in like a carnival and you walk through a haunted house. So that basically you had to go one by one and walk through this little entryway and have all these people like jump out at you. And I was just like laughing the whole time, pissing myself. It was so funny. But then you got to the end and this giant like creepy clown like jumped out at you, and I was like, this is so much fun. So we went and sat down, and they had this little kid in a raincoat with a little balloon just like walking down the aisles very, very slowly, and it was very dark in there, so you couldn't see his face or anything. They had these other creepy people like wearing masks and stuff, and at certain points throughout the film they'd come and sit next to you, and you'd be like watching the film and you turn around and there's like this person sitting there, and I'm like, oh my god. And then at certain times during the film they did like the whole like 3D experience, 4D experience, when it started raining at the beginning of the film, they like released some of the sprinklers, so you were like getting rained on.
Nice.
Or at like a certain point during the film, some of the kids are throwing like water balloons, and they also did the same thing, like they were throwing stuff at you. So I think my experience was so much funner because I had that interactive thing, but also made it a lot freakier, which was awesome.
Now, we didn't discuss television. Now, has there been any geek moments in television this year that have caught your attention? Any TV shows? I know that, let me think here. The year of, for me, CW stood out because CW had their DC TV crossover with the Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. I thought that was a really good crossover. For those who haven't seen it, go to the CW site to go watch that crossover. It was pretty good. Like I give it a almost a like a 9.8 out of 10. Like the only I don't give it a full 10. It's because Supergirl is in there, and I have this thing with Supergirl. But I recommend watch that crossover because it was really good, really good. But what other geek moments in television from 2017? I'm trying to think.
There was, I mean, Game of Thrones came out. That was like a long time ago. Do you guys watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What even? Oh, yes. Okay, what happened?
Yeah,
like,
a lot happened.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it was the season of fan fiction almost. Like everything you wanted to happen happened,
Yes.
which was
But
good in a
why?
way, but also like, but why all at once? It's like they were like, oh crap, like, you know, the final seasons are coming. Let's just all shove stuff in. So, you know, and some of the other seasons are unsatisfying. So why didn't they just stretch it and slowly let it happen? So, but I mean, I have no complaints. I love the show. It's great.
It's actually interesting because in Game of Thrones, my sister is a huge fan. And then she kind of dragged us with my dad into it, and we binge watched it like in 2 weeks or so, and then eventually caught up to it was season 7. Now it's season 7, right? And it was so 7, yeah, so underwhelming. Like I think it was boring. It had great moments, but boring. Like why? And also the fun fiction, like need to happen, but you really don't want it to happen, or like I don't know how to say that. The only thing I was genuinely happy about is that Littlefinger died. I hate that man.
Wow. So great. I think that was probably the best
That
moment.
was the only like. We were like actually, me and my dad were talking about that maybe in the end everyone will just die and Littlefinger will be the king or something. And I was so happy that he died. I hated that character so much. So yeah, but otherwise, and it's kind of disappointing in a way because these guys came such a long way and they kind of grew as actors. It's a really nice thing to see. Season 7 was like wasted on them in a way. Yeah. But obviously it's Game of Thrones, so you want to know what will happen next. Cycle. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, here's another television show that has gained a lot of attention this year. Stranger Things. Has any of Stranger Things watched, like, dislike? Season 2 debuted this year and gained a lot of attention. Thoughts on Stranger Things? You guys watch Stranger Things or?
Yes, yeah, love it. I don't think I've met anyone that doesn't like Stranger Things.
Yeah,
has a lot of 80s nostalgia to it. A lot of 80s references and everything. So a lot of people are like that kind of retro feel. Do you think it's a strong like sci-fi type television show and think it'll last for a while?
Because it has really good script. Like the story is cool because you cannot just build that kind of hype on nostalgia. I don't know how to say that in English. Like, but you know, guys, what I mean. So I think it has. I haven't seen season 2 actually, sadly, yet. But I liked. I don't even like creepy stuff. yeah, I think it's good. And the child actors actually amazing. Because it was really built on talent in a way. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really good, I think.
Mm.
Also, like Netflix in general, they do great stuff most of the times.
Mm. Yeah, they do.
Thoughts, Kim?
I love the series. I think it's great. I love that nostalgia to the 80s. I mean, I was born in the 90s, not the 80s, but I still like. So I still like the vibe of it because I grew up watching a lot of 80s films as well. So and just the way that they have like constructed it together and like show it visually, you actually feel like you're watching something within that era. And I think sometimes that's very hard to do. So I think they do a very good job of that. And the thriller vibe and the horror vibe as well is fantastic. The CGI is pretty good for a TV show as well. But yeah, overall, I love it. I think it's great. I'm not sure, although it is great, I just don't know how they're going to continue it over and over again. Like, I don't know what they're going to do next. It seems like, you know, they've got to branch out a bit more. So it'd be interesting to see how they incorporate it in and see, you know, what they go for season 3. So yeah, I think I'm excited for it.
Also, we've seen a weird craze, and I don't know if this kind of like gained national attention. Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty has become one of the most popular shows from Cartoon Network, or not Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. Same thing. Rick and Morty has gained popularity like none other. They have like a mass following, millions of fans, and particularly this year because of season 3 debuting. And like I seen in the news, like Rick and Morty mentioned McDonald's bringing back is it called Schwanja? I'm gonna mess up the name. The sauce that McDonald's had back in the 90s. Rick and Morty
Right.
mentioned it, and the fans went absolutely like haywire for it and demanded it. And McDonald's actually brought it back because of Rick and Morty actually mentioning it in the show. So that's like kind of like crazy, like pop culture, like geek power. But like Rick and Morty show, that's another thing that's just kind of blown up because like the fans just demand Rick and Morty. Like that is like a huge show. That's one thing. Also, let's see, mentioning Rick and Morty. What other television show or cartoon show did they bring back? Was it Teen Titans that they brought back also? Or am I crazy?
Teen Titans Go, I think. And then there will be Young Justice.
Young Justice. That too. So
I can't say I've watched much of that though.
Sorry. I know that it's like popular here as well, but I actually haven't seen an episode. I read the comics though. They have comics. I read the first 2 volumes. And it's fun, but I'm not really hyped. It's weird like that.
And that's where I was.
But I see the appeal. Like I
was going to mention too, like with like, because I know Rick and Morty has their own comic book, which will lead us into comics because we are experts, masters in our field, certified experts in comics. So please tell me, what are your picks for 2017? What was really good to you in any like all through Marvel, DC, IDW, Image Comics, Dark Horse, Oni Press? Name them off. What do you think were really good to you?
Oh, there's just so many.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm really liking the DC event series at the moment, Metal. I like the dark vibe that they bring, like all these different Dark Knights from different alternate realities, and I love that they're all different. Like we see how Bruce got kind of brought into the dark side, and he kind of takes over. Oh yeah.
There you go, Metal. It's like a metal. Anyway, continue.
I just read that issue actually. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it actually. I'm liking the darker vibe of it. I've always liked darker comics, so I'd have to say that this is a pretty good event series that they've released. Though I can't say much for Doomsday Clock because I was very excited for that. And I picked up the lenticular Rorschach issue because I really wanted that one. And I have read it and I just feel like it's very a little bit lackluster. I thought it would be a lot more happening in it, but it just seems like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll take a little while to just gear up, but at the moment I'm just feeling like I'm unsure about the series. I mean, I'm going to still get it, but not as good as the Metal series, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well,
For me,
yeah.
it's weird because Detective Comics right now, and I'm not really huge on Batman. I mentioned that before, but Detective Comics is coming along really, really well, and then like all the characters, all the dynamics. I think the story was fine, which I cannot really tell or say about the comics by Tom King. I'm so sorry. It's anyway. So that yeah, comics definitely. I like Batwoman as well, of course. But actually, for me, this year was more about like Image and Boom. They had some really, really good titles. Kind of amazing.
Yeah, I would
Like
say
I
like
know that Kim also picked up Misfit City is just such a feel good comic, and they have a lot of those. And of course, they have Saga, which is so. Yeah, the smaller publishers were really, really strong this year.
Yeah, I think they are definitely.
See.
There's a really good series that that I'm reading at the moment. That's probably one of my favorites, and it's called Curse Words. I don't know if you guys have read that one, but Charles Soule is one of my favorite writers, and it's just such a weird comic, but it's like quite enjoyable. The artwork is fantastic. It's very detailed, colored. It's about this this character who's called Wizard, and he's like a wizard. If no one has read it, this is what it's about. And he's come to planet Earth because he has to destroy it, and kind of, that's like his mission there. But he's decided he kind of likes planet Earth. He likes hanging out here. And he's kind of turned away from his master, and his master is sending like all of these like hitmen to come and kill him and finish the job. So it's just such a weird and kooky comic though, and I'm finding that was quite strong this year. That was probably one of my favorite ones, I'd have to say. I mean, there's so many other ones, but that one in particular is one I always, keep up to date with.
I'm gonna say for me, Marvel. I haven't really even. Marvel is, but now talking Marvel comics, Marvel is really bad. Let's say that right now. That's just, like honestly, that's something that cannot be denied. Like Marvel comics is really fallen off, really bad. I tried to pick up because at the worst or the least, I would try to pick up a Deadpool issue just to try to read Deadpool to get into it.
That's not good. No, yeah,
it's really bad.
I'm reading Runaways. And it's not bad, but I think it's not bad because there is actually a young adult novelist on it as a writer, so it not really feels like a comic book. It has a different vibe about it. And then actually I'm not really reading it anymore, or like I'm not up to date, but the Mighty Thor with Jane, but that's probably everything else is just then they renumbering it and rebooting the series, and just you don't even know what's happening anymore.
Yeah,
it's disturbing.
It's so bad with their numbering system. I mean, the only Marvel one that that's on my pool at the moment is Venom, and I really like that. Like, I love Venom, and what they've done with the character now is really interesting. But yeah, I think like because they just started like jumping up to like, you know, 150, or like all other comics, they just started jumping up like in these massive numbers, and you just didn't know what the hell was going on. And like, if you don't follow it very regularly, you'll just be like, well, what's happening? So that's what I kind of dropped off Venom for a bit, because I was like, okay, it was at the end of the series. And then when I asked the guy at the comic book store, he's like, oh yeah, it's jumped up to like 150, and now we're on 158. And I'm like, oh great. So, you know, I've missed out months of stuff because of this stupid numbering system. So I don't know if that's not like their main downfall, but I feel like it contributes to it.
It is definitely. I mean, I'm working in a comic shop, and we don't even know what's happening. Like, the first thing I see every month is the previews, which has all the things that will be released in the next, or like, and you just can't keep up. It's not even like Marvel is. You should be able to pre-order everything, you know, on a 2 months notice, and Marvel is not even doing that. Like, 1 month it's something, like they said it will be this, and then the next month it's something entirely else. It's I don't know. You just cannot follow it. It's really disturbing. So the thing is that I don't even feel like I should read them. A good thing, I guess, because of course we want to go and see the movies, and I, for example, really like the X-Men, and actually there's X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold right now, and that's not bad, and they have amazing covers, but that's just like one title, and they have a whole lot of titles. So yeah, I don't know what's happening there, but it's not really good.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, the Marvel, because I know I was trying to read Deadpool, and then there was one story that I liked, which was kind of, it was Deadpool with the Venom costume, or this with the alien symbiote, written by Colin Bunn.
Right. Yes, that was pretty good. That was all right.
Yeah, and that was all right. And then around that same time, like I said, this year really, and just to give like my opinion on Metal and like Doomsday Clock and DC. In DC Comics, I was only really reading about a couple titles. I was reading Action Comics. I was reading Superman. I really didn't read The Flash too much. And then the events happened where Metal happened first, with again the casting, the Forge, and I was explaining like how Metal to me reminds me kind of similar to Grant Morrison and his writing style, because if a person who just picks up Metal right off the bat might not understand the whole connection of like the Bat Demon, Barbatos, and all that stuff surrounding the Metal, a person who kind of just grabs Metal will just be like, oh, there's alternate Batman. Oh, okay. And that's how, like, I was reading like even comments online when people were like on Instagram posting pictures of like the Batman Who Laughs, and you could tell like the casual, just I know comics but I don't know character fans were just looking at like, oh, who's this, a Joker Batman? Oh, that's crazy. You know, people who really don't know the story, they're just like, what, you know, a bad version of Batman? Okay, you know. And that was my only thing. Like, I feel like people would kind of be a little bit lost that haven't been following Scott Snyder's version of Batman and knowing that backstory of Barbatos leading into this Metal event. And but other than that, like, I mean, I'm a big fan of multiverse, so like I love like the alternate characters. I love those alternate stories. So I like it. You know, it's not that bad. That's my only like critique to it. I feel like, you know, if people really don't know Scott Snyder's writing or that backstory, they would kind of just fall into it and just be like, oh, the heroes are fighting these bad Batmen. That's pretty much it, you know. Doomsday Clock, I feel if a person isn't really a Watchmen fan, who hasn't read The Watchmen, who knows nothing about The Watchmen, will just be completely lost, because Jeff Johns, going into Doomsday Clock, had to pick up where Alan Moore ended Watchmen. So even just like, you know, because Jeff Johns couldn't really kind of pick up Alan Moore's story and mess it up, because a lot of fans would be upset, because there's a huge, you know, following of Watchmen fans, and particularly fans of Alan Moore's writing style. So he kind of had to pick it up in a similar way, in that same type of a style of Watchmen. And I mean, issue 1, issue 2, I already knew that people would kind of follow it, because Rorschach, again, Rorschach is a fan favorite of Watchmen, but also because Batman is also in there too. So imagine Batman meeting Rorschach in the same comic book. The potential of that is like kind of huge, because not only do you have the poster boy of DC Comics, and you also have that Rorschach character, and then together it's like that's kind of like a huge meeting there, because you don't know what to expect when Batman meets Rorschach. Or as I don't know if you've read issue 2 that came out like 2 days ago.
I haven't read that yet.
Okay, no spoilers, but there's that potential that those two might meet and stuff, and what you think might be a good outcome of them meeting, is you might think, or it might be completely the opposite. But overall, like Doomsday, I feel like it is a slow pace. I know it's 12 issues long too, so there's like 10 more issues to go. But I know it's going all the way into 2018. I just think it was weird timing, like a last thought on this, but it's weird timing that DC had the metal event, and then also DC has the Doomsday Clock thing, and they're kind of, and it's running at the same time, because then now people's attention kind of went away from metal and straight onto Doomsday Clock, and now everybody's kind of forgetting about metal, so it's kind of weird.
It's also because I've asked people have like asked like if the series are connected as well, because they're releasing it at the same time, and it's just like, yeah, it seems strange that they would release event comics so close to each other, especially for people that don't really read comics a lot and they just go, oh, I want to pick this up. They're like, oh, but I was reading this and that. Like, is it the same thing? Like, I think it's a bit confusing for people.
And also, I feel kind of bad about Geoff Johns. Like, how they always, I don't know if he is actually volunteering, but for Flashpoint, and then when they had to bring back Barry Allen and then Hal Jordan, and it's like, poor Geoff Johns. Always that huge responsibility that people really, really love. I don't know. So the thing is that I like him as a Teen Titans writer, actually, but I can't decide if he is a good writer or not. Can always feel that what you guys were saying as well, like there are a lot of Watchmen fans, and also Alan Moore has a legacy, and you cannot just do whatever you want with that. It feels like we might never know if he's a great writer or not, because it's like he's not really free to do what he wants with these characters. Yeah. I realized that we also have Super Sons. I love Super Sons.
Oh yeah, that's a really good comic. But most of the Super Family comics are actually doing pretty well. Although I stopped reading Supergirl because that was just getting a bit silly for me. And I stopped reading Superwoman pretty early on. But I feel like Action Comics has actually been like the best it's ever been at like when they just did the Rebirth thing. I like every single issue is important to me, and I'm like giving it at least a 4 or 5 out of 5 stars for each issue. And I think that's very, very difficult to get there. But I think I haven't really actually read a lot of like Thomas's work, but with his work like on Super Sons and stuff like that, he seems to have like a really good knack for writing Superman and the Super Family. So yeah, I'm really glad that I kind of found him as a new, well, I don't know if he's a new writer, but because I've never really read any of his stuff, I'm actually really glad that they've kind of brought him on board. So I'm actually probably going to look for some other things that he's written as well, because I like the vibe that he kind of creates in his comics.
It's really funny because I think that we talked about this, but I never loved or liked Superman at all. And when Rebirth started, I actually picked up. No, I actually started with Lewis and Clark. I think that was a 6 issues mini, and that was also written by Thomas. And then I just couldn't stop. It's really nice because it's not really a Superman comic; it's a family comic, and I really love that. Like there is this guy, he's like basically a god, but he's also just a dad. So I really like that about it. It's pretty nice. And Super Sons is really the same. They are actually getting like more mature, and they have amazing adventures. I really like it.
Thinking DC. Now, if Doomsday Clock comes to it, because I know that Metal was running at the same time Doomsday Clock. When Doomsday Clock comes to an end, whatever Jeff Johns decides to go with this, we do know that Dr. Manhattan had a hand in the whole entire New 52, DC Rebirth, everything. Now, do you think that will things go back to the way it was, or will things go back to the way or stay the same, or do you think it'll go back to the New 52? What do you think is going to happen in regards to DC comic books as like a whole, like as far as the characters? Do you think that they're going to go back to the way they were, like the pre-52, or New 52, or a mix like they are?
They would never go back to the New 52. It was the worst ever done in the whole history of DC Comics, for sure. Like they ruined so many characters.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it was so bad.
I wish that 5 year never happened.
Yeah, just what they did. Rebirth is the best thing that they've done since that. So I think they may come to the realization of what's happened. Like all the characters may come to that realization that things have been changed, but they'll just continue on. Like I don't think they'll ever go back to the dark days that was New 52. That was just, yeah.
Actually, I realized that there are 2 other things coming out from DC, and both of them are pretty good, and both of them there are Batman, as surprising as that is. But there's Batman White Knight.
Oh, and Creatures of the Night, is that right?
Yeah, but I don't know about that. But yeah, there is that, and also Dark Prince Charming, which is actually a hardcover, a 2-issue book. Them are pretty good, but they are not really mainstream and like fixed numbers, so they probably don't get that much attention, which is weird because they're definitely better than the mainstream Batman comics. So
I think it's kind of hard to take that pressure of writing an ongoing series.
Yeah, of course.
You always have some kind of interesting thing happen, so in that way I can see like the sympathy. But I mean, I guess when it gets to a stage that you feel like you can't really add anything more to the comic or the series or the character, I think it's time that you just step down and go somewhere else, and they get someone else on it.
But I don't really understand is that Tom King is actually writing Mr. Miracle, and that is really good.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. And he also wrote The Omega Man, which was a Kyle Rayner kind of Green Lantern story, and it's one of my all-time favorites ever. That is one of the best miniseries ever written by anything DC. It's fantastic. Even if you don't read comic books, it's just so well done, and you don't have to know the characters. It's really, really good. And then he started Batman, and I really think that he should step down and like give it back to Scott Snyder or whatever. But
just let it go.
It's not good. Yeah.
Great.
Actually, I think that's why Image is better, because there the artist or the writer can just go on a holiday, and you cannot really do that with Image and with Marvel and DC, because the show must go on.
We also got the news that Brian Bendis went to DC Comics.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Good for him. Good for him.
So wait.
Yeah.
Is that good or is that bad? That sounded kind of weird. What?
I think it's okay. I'm not sure if they've said what he's going to be doing yet, right? But like I think it's nice to kind of switch it up and change it around a little bit. So I'll be interested to see. As long as he stays away from Superman, I'll probably be okay. I think you need a really fantastic writer on Superman, and I don't want anything to tarnish it at this current stage, because it's literally the best comic so far in the whole DC lineup. So stay away from that unless you have some really great ideas, you know. Hard to say.
I think it's interesting, and I meant it. It's good for him. Sometimes you just need to change
You do.
like things, and that's a big change. So that is that.
Okay. I was gonna say Superman. Yeah, like Superman. Actually, because if you think back to right before they did the Flash Rebirth, Flashpoint. Yeah, right before they did Flashpoint, it seemed like the major two books at DC at the time was Green Lantern and basically Batman. And Green Lantern because Jeff Johns was writing Green Lantern up until the Infinite Crisis, Countdown to Final Crisis, and but basically Green Lantern and Batman were those two books, and then the New 52 happened, but then Green Lantern and Batman still stayed the same. Their continuity didn't change at all, but everybody else's were just, completely destroyed and, just thrown all together again. And then now, you have the new, which they're slowly getting away from, but the DC Rebirth universe, and now Superman being that lead book versus everybody else, where because I know Green Lantern used to be, again, pretty much like the number one book, and then now Green Lantern really isn't anymore, and everything's slowly starting to change. Like, in your opinion, what do you think, which characters do you think should be the staple characters in DC? Like, do you think it should be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, or should it be like the Flash, Booster Gold? I love Booster Gold. Booster Gold and, somebody else, or should it be this group, or should it be this, character?
Oh, it's so hard to say, but I guess DC's main revenue comes from Superman and Batman. They're like their top ones. So I don't think that's ever really going to change from people buying them the most. But I do feel like they should give some other characters a little bit of chance in the spotlight. So I really want to learn a lot more about like Zatanna, and I know they've just released this Mystic U series, but I would love to have like a solo series.
It is really good.
Is it? I haven't read it yet.
Have you read it?
No, not yet. Not yet.
It is really good. I really want to do a review on it. It was absolutely it feels a lot like Supergirl being super. Like you can feel that the creative team is actually working on it and it's being creative, and secret. It was really good and it looks really nice. I was so surprised. Definitely that.
Yeah, I guess just like smaller characters and kind of boosting them up a little bit more so we can see them, so that other casual comic book fans can kind of read a very short series. Because I know they did one about Raven, and that was cool that they made that move and they kind of was like, okay, here's a solo series, then we're going to package it together in preparation. But I didn't particularly like the series that much. I just don't think it started off okay, but then it kind of went downhill. So it would be nice for them to just sort of focus on some other lesser known characters, which I guess they are bringing out a few things like
Mr. Miracle, for example.
Yeah, and other ones. So that's really great. I guess I'd like to see a bit more, and I don't know if I'm biased because I'm female, but a little bit more female characters that aren't like Wonder Woman, just being brought to the surface, like ones that we haven't really seen before. I think that would be really cool. Like, I know we've got Harley Quinn, we've got, Batgirl, Supergirl. Well, Supergirl's not that great, but just some other characters, that we can kind of learn about, or even maybe new characters. I mean, it's been so long since new characters have been created. It might be time to sort of delve into that.
I was saying on that the female characters that they pretty much that's not Wonder Woman or Harley Quinn. Like, I was always a fan of Mary Marvel from the the Shazam family, and I was a big fan of hers when she went from when she was wearing the white outfit, the good hero, and then when she gained Black Adam's powers and her outfit turned black and she had the Black Adam outfit on and stuff, and Mary Marvel went kind of bad, and I was like, whoa, and that gained my interest immediately in Mary Marvel, and I'm like, oh man, really? Like Mary Marvel has the power of Black Adam now, and the whole she's like not a good person anymore. What happened? And that kind of drew me in years ago. And then when they did the New 52, they kind of just scrapped that, because I know they changed the whole Shazam thing, and I was like, what? No more Mary Marvel? Come on, that was like my character. I was like really, really, I loved Mary Marvel, and then they just got rid of her, and I was like, oh, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be so cool characters like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I love Power Girl from the Justice League, the old Justice League era. I really, really love her. And I'm a huge fan of Cassandra Cain, who is orphan now, I think. Orphan, probably, from the Detective Comics. And they don't really get any attention at all. I mean, Zarana is kind of okay now with the whole Justice League Dark, which thing. But I'm absolutely based. And the other, like, when they took Wonder Woman away from Greg Rucka. You should never do that. He's the most amazing Wonder Woman writer ever, and I'm a really biased fan. But actually, no, I loved Azzarello's that sixth book from New 52 as well. Rucka is just so amazing, and I don't understand why they did that change. Why? It was doing good. So yeah, I don't even know who is writing her now.
Yeah, it keeps changing like really often. So I think I'm 10 issues behind. So I just kind of gave up because it wasn't, top priority for me to read anymore. So
yeah,
unfortunately.
So,
but
actually, there will be a new Raven series. I think that will be also 12 issues something, and it will be written by Marv Wolfman.
Okay, that might be interesting.
So, yeah.
And
be brave and the bold again. So,
as far as comic books we covered, movies we covered, I was going to bring up The Last Jedi before I got too deep in the conversation. Now, one has seen it, one has not seen it. So,
oh, have you not seen it?
No. But I'm already truly spoiled, so it's okay.
Okay, because I was gonna rip into it, but
okay. Well,
so yeah, feel free.
All right. Now, shaking my camera. So let's. I'll take it from the standpoint of the Star Wars fan who has watched episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then The Force Awakens and Rogue One. I am a Star Wars fan that's kind of like an old fan. I also am kind of open to the new Star Wars universe, or you could say the universe after Empire Strikes Back, or no, Return of the Jedi, or what? Yeah, and like when just to give a backstory, I used to have an Xbox, and I used to have a game called Star Wars Academy or Jedi Academy. That's it, Jedi Academy, and that game basically picked up the story, years after, the Empire. Years after, you're a Jedi, and you're getting trained by Luke Skywalker, an older Luke, and you get to see like Darth Vader's tomb, and you see like a lot of like old remnants from those movies. And it was a kind of a perfect mix of the nostalgia from the old stuff, but then you're creating your new story as a new Jedi, as there's, new Sith Lords, out there in the universe. So I thought it was pretty cool. Now, The Last Jedi has gained a lot of mixed attention, a lot of mixed reviews. Kim, since you've seen the movie, can you give us your spoiler-free thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, all right, okay. So, I mean, to understand where I come as a Star Wars fan, I would say I grew up on episode 1, 2, and 3 because they came out when I was a little kid, and I used to love them as a kid. I thought they were great. We used to, me, my brother, and my sister used to have these cardboard boxes, and we pretend we were like driving pod races around. It was so much fun. And then obviously growing up, obviously, you know, I've watched them back and thought, well, they're not that great. They're pretty, colorful. But so obviously 4, 5, and 6, I love a lot more. 1, 2, and 3 are just nostalgic to me. And they are part of a story, and they've got so much wrong with them, but that's just what we have. So episode 7, I liked a lot. I thought it was great. I thought it was very safe. So when episode 8 was released, and obviously J.J. Abrams wasn't part of it, I thought they're gonna take the director's gonna try to take it in a new direction. It's definitely just going to be pulled away from what he had set up in episode 7. Like, it could be a little bit more risky, but it shouldn't be so much that it feels like it's a different franchise. And I felt when I was watching this film, I was watching different franchise. At times, I didn't feel like I was watching Star Wars. That whole section at the casino, I was like, what even am I watching here? What is the point of this little side mission that Finn and Rose were going on? It just seemed so pointless. They didn't achieve anything in the end. It's basically just something to fill up time. I do feel that also now that Disney, you know, is in the picture, they've kind of taken the humor to a whole new level. So I actually felt like I was watching a Marvel film in terms of humor, and I did not like that. I feel like Star Wars can be funny, but it doesn't have to force itself to be funny, and this film forced itself to be funny all the way through, and some parts are just so cringy. I was like, oh my god. I think one of the first opening scenes was, and this is not really a spoiler, but like Poe is in space and he's flying around and he's trying to talk to General Hux, and they have like this weird conversation where he's like joking that he's on call waiting, and that was just, as soon as that scene happened, I was like, okay, this is what I'm in for. This is the kind of humor that I'm in for in this film. So I kind of prepared myself, but still, like, some of the jokes were just so cringy. I was like, what are you doing? Why does that need to be in there? And just some parts are just so cringeworthy, like the whole Leia bit, you know, and like that kind of stuff. That kind of annoyed me, because I know a lot of like SJWs are just saying things like, you know, why, you know, the females that use the Force don't have to train. They just know how to use it. And I think that's a terrible way to explain it. Because they've kind of done that. They've had Leia, and she obviously has the Force within her and she can use it, but we haven't really seen much about what she's done with it, obviously. Like, maybe before this film and when she was younger, like after the 6th film, she trained with Luke and she learned a little bit more about the Force, so it kind of makes a little bit of sense. Rey makes no sense at all. She just like knows everything straight away, and I think the argument for that is that people are like, well, all the females, obviously Leia and Rey, can just use the Force and that's it. Like, you know, they don't need to learn. They don't have to go through rigorous training like all of the other male Jedis and stuff had to go through. They just know how to use it. And I don't like that excuse. As a female, I don't like that. Like, I think for a character to be so powerful, there has to be a reason for it. And just because it's a female and they want someone to be, you know, female powered, they need to, like, we have to work to get to where we are. So if they don't work to get to where they are, then it's pointless. It's just like you just receive something for no reason at all. So I didn't like that in this film. I thought maybe they would develop Rey a bit more, but they didn't. She was just like, I can do everything straight away. I don't need to, you know, I can pick up rocks. It took Luke like forever to do it, and she could just do it straight away. I didn't really like that about it, and I just felt like the film was very broken up into weird sections, and then of course the villain as well. Like, what even, I don't want to spoil it, but what the actual hell happened within that scene? Like, how dumb are you? Like, I feel like he's a bit of an embarrassment to any other Star Wars villain. Like, I reckon Darth Maul would have done better there than him. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And for them to try to compare him...
Are we talking about Snoke? Yes,
we're talking about Snoke. Oh, my God. And for people to compare him to Darth Sidious, he's not even on his level. My God. He was one of the most embarrassing villains I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, okay.
I mean, now do you blame this on Disney's influence or Disney owning, you know, is it because it's Disney's Star Wars?
Maybe a little bit. But then again,
do you think
7 didn't feel that, you know,
Or do you think
Disney.
or do you think it's a mistake that they bring in multiple different type of directors to try to make these Star Wars films instead of them? It's kind of like, you know, Jeff Johns picking up Doomsday Clock and kind of like mimicking Alan Moore's writing style.
Yes.
Now you have Star Wars movies, you know, the next generation, but now you have different directors coming in, giving a little bit of their own tones to the movies. And it kind of like, you know, it's like, I can see there's a difference between like, you know, okay, I'm going to copy George Lucas's style, you know, and make it exactly like George Lucas, but you still kind of have to keep the same type of Star Wars tone, or you completely it just goes out the window. You know what I mean? Like just ruins it. You know, you can't make it too funny. It's not a comedy. It's Star Wars. You know, it like so. Do you think like it's just is it because we're going down this path of the Disney era, if you will?
I mean, I don't want to say yes, but I think it's also, I guess it's not so dependent on the director, because if we look at like all the previous films, you know, there were some films that George Lucas didn't direct. Like he didn't direct episode 5 or 6, I believe, and they were probably one of the best films in the whole franchise. So, but it was heavily George Lucas, like, you know, produced and everything.
Influence.
Yeah, influence. So now they're just like, I feel like episode 7 was following his very kind of strict method, which is fine. So the next film had to have a little bit of a risk to it, but I think it was too risky. I felt like the director was like, yay, I've got Star Wars, let's go. And then he just decided he wanted to do his own thing and no one was watching him. I don't know how to explain that. It's not that I didn't like the film. Like, it was enjoyable, but it was also not enjoyable at a lot of it. So
What did it feel? Did it feel soulless? Was it wrapped in the Star Wars, you know, wrapping, but on the inside it was nothing? You know?
Yeah, it kind of felt that way. I think so. It just, yeah, it just felt very out of place. Like, all of the scenes were very strange. The actors were all fine. It was just the way it was put together, I think, in the script. And yeah, it's like they were trying to do something and they didn't quite achieve it. That's what it kind of felt like.
The thing is, like, I haven't seen it, but the way you talk about it, it's like, you know, what I think was risky was making Rogue One, because they killed off basically everyone in there, and Disney was prepared that it won't be a hit, and it was still really awesome. I liked Rogue One the best since The Empire Strikes Back, probably.
Yeah, I would agree.
With 7, I thought that it was a bit too safe. Actually, the less I like it. It's not bad, and I understand why it was necessary to make it that way. Far more interesting. And then now we are talking about something that's not even Star Wars anymore. I wouldn't blame necessarily Disney for that, because Rogue One was awesome and that was also Disney, and they made it possible, like, that something probably won't be a hit still had a kind of a big budget, good actors, really good story, nice directing, and then we go to this, and then you are not the first one who said that, like, that it's not really a Star Wars movie. It is a good movie if you Star Wars thing out of it, but then what's the point? Yeah, and that's probably on Disney because they want to do everything on this lighthearted note, which I don't really like.
Well, and to say, like, because, you know, that's why, like, people were feared that, you know, now that Disney owns the rights to everything that's Fox related, that, you know, they now control, you know, The Simpsons, Futurama.
Oh my God.
All those things, you know, all those good things that fall under that Fox umbrella, you know, besides just, you know, everybody's like, oh, hey, the Fantastic Four is going to go back to Marvel, whatever. I personally really didn't really care about the Fantastic Four. I only cared about maybe Galactus. Maybe one day I'll see a proper Galactus or something and not a cloud. It'll actually be the real Galactus. But other than that, didn't really care about Fantastic Four too much. But I know also the Avengers needed, because one of their villains is Kang Kang the Conqueror, and he technically his first appearance was in a Fantastic Four comic, but yet he's a villain of the Avengers. So they also need the Fantastic Four rights so they can pull Kang and one day put him in the Avengers movie, because that's the real villain of the Avengers, not like Thanos. Thanos is just as I call it, a universal Marvel villain who shows up in anybody's comic. That's similar to like how let me think, the Anti-Monitor in DC Comics. The Anti-Monitor or Darkseid is just a universal, DC villain and everything. But yes, Disney has taken over the world basically, almost, and this is crazy stuff. So overall, just to kind of wrap up this video, because I know we've gone on a long, your standout moments for 2017 as we wrap this thing up. Kim, final thoughts on 2017? Anything?
I thought it was okay. Yeah, it's funny because I actually had to think back on what even happened this year, because I felt like it was a very uneventful year. But then looking back and seeing all the stuff that's happened on movies that's come out, TV shows, I'm just like, oh wow, actually a lot happened. So I feel like the year went by really quickly, whereas 2016 was like a long, slow, excruciating year for like everybody, especially for superhero films, because it was the year of controversy of like Civil War, BVS, Deadpool, all that kind of stuff. So this year it just felt like a little bit of a breeze rather than a struggle. So I guess I would say like uneventful, really. Like I expected more this year, but I guess, we'll have to see.
And geeking up.
Yeah. Guys, it was really good. There were some really good stuff coming out. And yeah, it was actually less drama than last year, I think, if you look at the movies. And for me as well, the one significant moment was Logan. That was yeah, this is also a comic book movie, a superhero movie, and look at that. In an Oscar, which obviously it won't, but really amazing. I'm really happy that happened. I'm looking forward to 18 actually. There will be some really, really good movies next year.
And I'm going to agree with both of you that, yeah, 2017, it seemed like it was just, as far as for the movies, they were just popping out comic book movies like every other month, it's just kind of like, but it was fluid. It wasn't like, it wasn't too much, but it was just fluid. It seemed natural. And every single movie that came out, you kind of forgot about the next one that was coming, or, and again, I just forgot that, again, Wonder Woman came out this year because Justice League came out this year. I thought about, like Logan came out this year, but then also Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor came out at the same time. So there's a lot of movies that, that came out. But I thought, yeah, it was a good year as far as for movies. TV was good as well. So yeah, the year's been pretty good. So I'm looking forward to 2018. But to wrap this video up, leave your comments on this long video because this was a long one. Subscribe, like, share. Tell us your thoughts. What were your favorite moments of 2017? Let us know, and definitely like follow us. And again, please spam your social medias out there for this video as well. So how do we follow both of you?
Well, I have YouTube, so you can follow me at youtube.com/geekrella12. I have Twitter, and that's geekrella12 as well, and Instagram geekrella12. So you can follow me on any of those.
Follow her. Next.
Yeah, I do have YouTube, but I have a really long title, so just go to my Twitter, and it's as Geeking Out.
And I'll definitely
on Instagram. So yeah.
And I'll put
that's it.
I will put the links to the description to their social medias below in the video. But thank you both for joining me on this very long Geek in review. But again, everybody who's still watching this live broadcast, good night. We're out of here. And again, leave your comments, like, share, subscribe. We're gone. Good night.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.